We talk about the censorship stuff like so much, and the debate is always like, should the government be involved and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I don't know if anyone saw recently, but like Psaki, the like speaker or whatever.
Jen Psaki?
Yeah. She did this press conference where she comes out and she goes, you know, we think the government needs to get more involved when people are spreading misinformation. And it was like, why should you be banned from one platform and not all the platforms?
Yeah.
And I feel like so many people have been beating down the drum of like the government can solve this. And it's just like, I don't have a foreseeable solution.
They're literally part of the problem.
They started the problem. They're so wrapped up, but it's like the government,
like, you understand,
is so in there.
The crazy thing is, like, yes, the misinformation stuff, the reason people won't take the vaccine is because they don't trust the media and they don't trust the government. And the media is essentially like an extension
media arm of the government.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, we don't
Democratic
trust any of you. Like, I'm sure a lot of those people, if this happened 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, would have been like, yeah, we'll take the vaccine.
They're
like,
so
why not?
untrustworthy.
It's like, you contributed to this. Now, maybe you think like, oh, like, you know, this is how I'm going to solve the problem that like we created, which it's not.
Do you ever hear that quote?
The more, the thing is like the more that they say, oh, like we need to censor people. You think that's going to get someone who's on the fence to take the vaccine now?
It's insane.
It's like if you just
they won't give up anything. Yeah.
Yeah, but you go, okay, yeah, the person's probably like, okay, now I'm definitely not taking it.
100%. And they're like, these idiots won't take the vaccine. You go, what are you gonna give to them? It's like it's like this girl mentality of this. It's back to the sex thing.
Yeah.
Where they go, what do I like? Why won't you do this? And you go, because your whole life is like taking things away from me. And when you have a little card, like for example, if they feel like they have this card, well, I'm not going to do this. And you're like, why don't you just do it? And it's like, if people feel like, you know, when you're trying to get backhand in a relationship,
Yeah.
it's like, I think a lot of people feel like that, where they're like, everyone's lying to me. I'm being gaslit nonstop. And I think that's one of the reasons people want to do that. But
yeah, they don't trust it. Like,
have you ever heard that saying where Thomas Sowell goes, he goes, there's nothing scarier than the phrase, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah, for sure.
And all of these companies,
so much bad shit's been done in that.
Both the companies have to go. Both these companies, or all of these companies, have to go to fucking Congress and get yelled at by both sides. And I think that other than Dorsey, I think a lot of these a lot of these companies would rather just not be in the business of censorship to begin with. Who wants to be? I was talking to the guy from Comedy Cellar, and I think he had a pretty good point. Like Noam.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, most businesses, you don't want to be any of these businesses. Like, you know, you just want to run your business. And then everyone starts complaining about this and you go, okay, I guess I got to address it. And then it becomes this. Like, ideally, you would just let the comics go on and that'd be the end of it. Okay. And then it's like, oh, would you let this guy? You end up, I'm sure that like a lot of these
The thing is, there are cases where they go, okay, yeah, probably this should not be allowed. Like we've said it before, but you're like, you can't like it's just like you can't have no rules. You can't have zero rules.
They are rules. See, this is
because then you get like child porn. If you go, okay, zero rules for content, child porn.
No, but this is the distinction that should be made. It's you don't want no rules. You want the rules that are the First Amendment.
Yeah.
So that's what you want.
Yeah.
They already have rules against child porn. It's illegal.
Right.
So that's not up to Facebook to say, hey, no child porn.
Well,
on
I guess in terms of moderation.
It's already illegal.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Facebook doesn't need to say no child porn. It's already illegal.
Yeah.
Just the same reason they say, oh, you can't broadcast yourself burglaring someone's house. They go, that's already illegal. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah, of course.
So the rules are already there. They're saying that we want to have a monopoly on truth. We're going to decide what the fucking truth is, even though we've been wrong 20 times. And we want the government to kick you off. They go, oh, what are you off? They want to give you the Alex Jones treatment where now you can't get a credit card processor because you fucking question people who've been wrong 100 times.
The crazy thing too is you could be right.
Living in a fucking dude, I'm turning into a fucking you sheeple guy real soon.
I know. But it's like you can be right literally like 90% of the, or 99 out of 100 times, and the one time you're wrong, they go, that's misinformation. You're out of here. And you're like, what about all the times I'm right? You're like, what kind of like
too bad?
It's like a zero tolerance policy
on being
like
so
making
you
an
can't
error.
Say anything? Literally.
Like, yeah, it's like, okay, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
But you're never wrong?
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
The government's never wrong?
It's like fucking Joe Biden is like
the amount of common opinions that were proven wrong. You know that what was that old stock saying too? It's like when you find yourself in the general consensus, you don't
reevaluate
your position.
Yeah, you just don't want to be like in the part of the herd, you know?
If you find yourself in the herd, step back and be like, are we right? You know, don't just take for granted. And they goes, so I think, I don't have any solution or whatever, but this idea that I think a lot of people think that the government can solve the problem that the government created, I think you're going to be.
I mean, not right now, not when just the distrust, because the fact is like, it's just, you know, it's an issue of just people don't trust you. They don't, you know, people can make decisions for themselves. Sometimes they're not good decisions.
Yeah.
People people have a history of making bad decisions for themselves. But like, what are you going to do? Like the whole thing, everybody's like getting all worried about like the Delta variant, blah, blah, blah. You're like, this is like 4 states that have to worry about this. There's like 4 states that have low vaccination rates, like very low. Yeah, they might have an issue with it. That's their choice. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you know, you can't stop. Like people have been smoking for fucking how long? Like we've known for
way
40
more
years
people.
that smoking's going to kill you.
Fumes.
And they told you, Fumes, shout out to Fume, shout out to perfect segue right there. But you know, it's like they've known for 40 years and they go, people are like, yeah, I'm still going to smoke.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I don't know.
No, there is some
like they're not
point where
shutting
you go,
shit down again. Like it's not like there was all this people who go, oh, we're going back into lockdowns. You're like, no, we're not.
No, we're not.
We're not going back into lockdowns. Like
Florida,
you know,
or no, sorry,
like
LA could.
Mississippi might. LA did a mask mandate, but even fucking Cuomo said he's like, we're not doing another mask.
Australia, I don't know if you saw that.
Australia?
I saw a video
it's
from
getting
Australia that was wild, dude.
But that's because their vaccination rate's like 3% or something.
So
crazy.
this lady comes on the TV and she goes, Australia, and she goes, oh, ding you. No, she comes on.
We just lost our one Australian listener.
And so this fucking bitch, Australian bitch, she comes on the telly and she starts going, she's like, Mayday. She goes, we did out of like 80,000 tests or something like that. We have 1 death and like 300 new cases. So as of tomorrow, we're locking up the capital anymore. No one's allowed to leave the cities. It was like a comedy sketch.
Yeah, they're doing it so crazy because that's the thing. They're in.
I've been talking to Lou Spears a bit, but it's
because they're in this like zeroism kind of mentality where
zeroism is mental.
Well, they're on an island, so like you know they actually don't have these like borders. They really are on an island, so like it's you know that's where they're like, look, we'll just like eradicate it and then it's gone again. But you're like, look, you did this, it came back. Like so, your issue is just I don't know.
You think you're gonna eradicate
they're making fucking Canada look like I don't know America. Like,
it is nuts what's going
they're
on.
Making Canada look like Texas. Like,
dude, you'd think there's probably Australia. I'll tell you one thing that maybe is a factor. There's probably so many Australians that just like live on the beach and they go to surf and they don't follow any of this rules. But it's sort of like a cowboy sort of city, like a country a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's so many people there that they ain't following the rules. They're taking a Jeep out with their surfboard. I bet you they can't be for all this stuff, but it's
no.
Nuts.
Well, and as far as I know, they're like they were like similar to Canada, where like they just didn't get a lot of vaccines, and their like rates really low. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they obviously have this precedent where they're like incredibly heavy-handed with their lockdowns, and you know, people. Like Australia was the one where literally people were just getting like, you know, going to a park and getting like the shit beat out of them for like just being in a park.
Yeah.
And they like weren't allowed to.